Hello and welcome everyone to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I've got another game from the IPL5 Korean qualifiers. It is a best of 3. This is game 1. It is between TSLPolt and IMYongHwa. Now Yonghwa is the red Protoss player in the top right and Polt is the blue Terran player in the lower left. The map is the GSL version of Cloud Kingdom, so there is the supply depot on the low ground just preventing any wall-offs, and other than that it's pretty much the same, so nothing too big there. Obviously, being a TVP, what can we expect? Well, from Polt it's going to be Marines, Marauders and into Medevacs, and then really depending on Yonghwa goes for, either Vikings or Ghosts are the big options. But obviously, what does that leave Yonghwa to do? Well, it's going to be gateway units until, of course, those Stim Marine Marauders come out. Then he's got to transition into something to deal with that infantry ball, which is most likely going to be either Colossus or High Templar is the other option with Storm. So that's really the way this game's going to go. Obviously, there's lots of different fancy stuff going on. I mean, Polk could go for tanks. There's various things which are possible, but obviously you tend not to see too much craziness. That's generally the standard of this matchup. It's quite well adjusted and thought out, so to be honest I don't expect to see anything too strange. This Rax is going down. It's all very standard stuff. We've got gateway. I mean, you never see fast expand, or very rarely see anything like a command center first or forward fast expand in TVP, just because it's a bit too dangerous. And well, you just go for a nice steady expansion rate. It does tend to mean the game's going slightly longer. Obviously there's a couple of big push timings the Pole can go for off of one base, which can be quite difficult for Yonghwa to deal with, and likewise both players are gonna, it can be quite awkward getting up that natural base unless you've got a good defensive posture. So we will wait and see when each player does choose to go for that. But for the moment, both players doing everything standard. There's one gas down for Yonghwa at the moment. He's just got up his gateway. Cybercore will get thrown down nearly instantly. So here we go, one Cybercore on the cards. Then really he's got the options of going for a Zealot Stalker, bit of pressure. He can go for 2 Stalkers, a Sentry. There's different things available depending on what he hopes to achieve. The Sentry will be much more defensive, the Stalker a bit more offensive, and well, time will tell. No gas yet for Polt, which suggests that he is going to try and get that command center early. Also banked up 300 minerals, so I reckon we're going to be seeing a 1 Rax expansion, which is really as quick as you can safely do it in a TVP matchup. But for the moment, this probe is trapped inside, so it's not going to know if that command center's gone down or not, which of course is really critical information, because if he did see that it was down, he'd be able to go and plant his own nexus. But for the moment, we've got a Stalker being chrono boosted out, and well, that could be quite fun. It'll be interesting to see what that Stalker does. If it would get a couple of hits, obviously, does need to be a little bit careful, but for the moment, we have just got good scan coming out by Polt. Seeing that chrono boost on the gateway is a big tell. The second gas coming down now, and you're going to have a second Stalker following this up as well. So is Yonghwa going to be going for that fast expansion, or is he going to be trying to put on some pressure? Meanwhile, 2 more barracks following on from this by Polt, so Polt is definitely going super infantry heavy. This isn't going to be a 1-1-1 type build or anything like that. We do have 300 minerals down here already for Yonghwa, and well, that says he's going to be expanding, so it's a 1 gate expand against a 1 Rax expand. Both very safe builds, and really pretty much means that we're going into the mid game. I mean, this Stalker's not going to be able to do much against 4 Marines. That's just too many for it. There's also a bunker coming down which will completely shut down that Stalker. Meanwhile, a Templar Archives coming down. That's relatively early for a Templar Archives, especially just off of 1 gate, but it means that Yonghwa is definitely going the tech route. That was suggested anyway by the fact the second gas came down. That second gas says, I'm going to be teching relatively hard, I need the gas for something. This Stalker did try to kind of poke his way in to do some damage, but needs to be a little bit careful, doesn't want to lose any health points as opposed to shields. But well, the bunker's loaded up, we've got these barracks going absolutely crazy, a second gas on the way for Polt, and this is all going really normal. So let's just use this time to quickly say, if you do like this video or any of the in the series, please give it a thumbs up, that would be awesome. I'll put a link to all the rest of my casts as well on the right at the end, so do check that out. Also subscribe would be awesome, new games up daily. And wait, hang on, we've got a DT shrine. Dark Templar are on the cards, so that is a very possible way to transition through with that Twilight Council, so should have been expected. And well, now what has Polt got to defend with? Well, he's getting more bunkers up, which is great, unless of course he's got no detection. So obviously he does have scans available, but that'll delay the mules, which means less mineral income, which ultimately means Polt's going to have it'll be more trouble. But IMYongHwa, he's just happily just messing around with this Stalker. We do have Stim just started and a Marauder on the way. But of course, this Dark Shrine, that's going to be really big. What Tech is done, a third gateway is on the way. We do have this Proxy Pylon here. We have a Probe sitting down here, which could go through a Pylon as well, even closer if he did want to. And, well, the energy is actually getting up pretty high on one of these factories, but if the Mule goes down, it could be all very, very fun. There's an even closer pylon for the reinforcements, so I expect to see those DTs get morphed in very, very quickly. A robotics facility following on from this, so maybe for a War Prism, who knows, but of course no engineering base, so definitely no missile turrets. There's the third command center. There goes down that engineering bay now. I don't know if something was spotted, but obviously it's very unlikely a scan would go off here. It'd either go down here or up in the main base, so definitely a good place to kind of hide the DT shrine there. Now, in come the DTs, but one scan goes off immediately. But absolutely great work. Split up the DTs so they're not all covered by one scan, because of course otherwise that means that you can lose everything. Whereas if you do keep them spread, it will take at least 2 scans to get this out. The second DT coming in now, going to try and pick off that missile target. Does go down, wasn't cancelled. That's a good little win straight away there. And now Polt, he has a bit of issues, because what does he do? He can just lose a couple of SCVs. He does have enough money for another scan, but of course the DTs are still spread out, which is very, very good. There's another scan force already. This is 2 mules, which could have been, which aren't going to be. And for the moment, we will just see that once this missile tide comes down, these DTs are suddenly not going to have any fun. But we do have that robotics bay on the way out, so we do have Colossi coming out after this. Some sentries getting warped in. This natural base happily up and running for IMYongHwa. And well, even though this DT is here, it can't move in. If this army moves out, well, this is an invisible scout, and if it does move out, a couple of Marines could get picked off. And now another DT being added in here. This is a bit unusual. We do have more supply depots, so if a War Prism or something was to come in, it could be fun. The Starport is on its way out. There's reactors, so we're going to see a lot of medevacs. But of course, the second that this robotics bay is spotted, that's going to mean one thing: Vikings will come out 2 at a time. And now, if we look here, there is enough money for enough energy for a scan, but just amazing place. Spread out your DTs, so there's not enough. Missile tide is on its way down now, but this is still quite a few SCVs getting picked off. Time after time, one scan goes down. There's nearly enough energy for a second one, but of course this second DT is already there. The War Prism is still chilling around. We do have that factory coming over, and well, the scan was down, but of course the missile tide on its way, but quite a few units left down here just to defend it. So definitely not something that IMYongHwa is going to want to be trying to engage quite yet. Needs to be a little bit careful. All these units are spreading out, trying to capture everything. And for the moment, this pylon, that's going to get taken down now. The factory's seen it. Just looking back up at IMYongHwa's base, he's got those double forge coming out. He's got extended thermal lance. He's got blink. He's got 3 more gateways. Everything going really, really nice for going into this mid-game army composition, compared to Polt, of course, who, well, he did just pit off that DT, but how much damage did those DTs even do? 11 workers killed, that's not too bad. It takes 53 workers for IMYongHwa and 40 for Polt, and that's a nice position to be in. Once you take mules into account, they're pretty damn even. I mean, if we look at these, at the incomes here, slight advantage for IMYongHwa at the moment, but that's because of so many scans needing to be spent in order to deal with that. Now we do have a push coming in here from Polt, and IMYongHwa in a good position to defend this, but he does have the Colossi, he does have the 2 sentries. Those force fields going to be absolutely essential to be on the money, but it all depends where this push goes to. The observer is going to see these units moving up, and obviously now the second Colossus is out, that is going to help tremendously. But we may see Polt actually drop up, but if we look here, we've got units already prepared. This is just great strategic play. Everything is precisely where it needs to be, and there's not too much which can go wrong, except if those stim come forward. And one Colossi goes down. There's a big, big win there for Polt. And well, those force fields, they're on the money, but a second Colossi goes down, and suddenly IMYongHwa is in a huge amount of problems, because he's lost all of his splash, and suddenly these stimmed units are going to do absolute massive damage to IMYongHwa's gateway units. They're just not good against stim marine marauders, especially that medevac support. Only 4 medevacs out at the moment, but this is just still a very, very potent force. The factory gave him vision of the high ground, and just look at how quickly stim units are demolishing the gateway units. These sentries going down is a big loss straight away. That's force fields which will not be available later. The medevacs are doing a nice little bit of work there. They are getting picked off, but I think overall cost effective wise, Polt's coming out very, very well here. Grey blink micro is in play by IMYongHwa. He's getting those stalkers back to be safe, and this is just very, very intense micro for both players. If we actually look at the loss tab, a lot more loss there for IMYongHwa over the course of this game compared to Polt, which ultimately makes a big, big difference. Another Colossi is now out, and we do have the Viking production already started. 2 Vikings are on the field. We've got back to medevac, so obviously we know the Polt is in a happy spot because he picked off those 2 Colossi pretty damn early. There's no third command center yet. I expect to see that out of Polt relatively soon. He is getting up engineering bay, a second engineering bay in the armory, so he's going to be going into those double upgrades. Of course, +1 already done, +1 armor on its way momentarily. We do have a DT trying to move in, but that gets taken out really quick. Upgrade wise for IMYongHwa, he's getting those double upgrades, 2/2s. They're getting chrono boosted as well. That's significant because it means they just can't so much quicker. And for the moment, we will see IMYongHwa. He will take the upgrade advantage now, at least. If he keeps those chrono boosts up, he will get quite a nice point there. The probe looking like it's getting ready to take a 3rd base, and that's really the money point for Protoss. 3 mining bases is very potent for the Protoss army. They can do pretty much anything they want to, and for the moment at least, Polt, he's going to go and try up and deny it if it does go down, but it's not there yet. That probe's going to get taken out, and with only 2 Colossi, that's not that many. We do have a little group coming up the side ramp. That's going to get demolished very quickly by those Colossus. And if we look at the Vikings, where even have they gone? There were Vikings, but who knows where they're going. A scan goes off there, just checking for an observer or anything. Just before these medevac drops come in, there is a pylon there, but that is going to get taken down. Obviously, no idea that those are loaded up. It wouldn't look like it that way. But here we do have IMYongHwa moving across, but great stim back from Polt, who does not want to lose masses of units to these 3 Colossi. And while the drop does try to go down, obviously the sentry, the stalkers do blink up there. Zealots are getting morphed in as well. This is getting cleaned up very happily. Of course, the big threat to IMYongHwa is, if these Colossi are taken out, he suddenly has big problems. But Polt, he needs to deal with those Colossi very soon. And to be honest, his Viking numbers, I'm not quite sure if they're high enough. He's only up to 4 Vikings, and for the moment he is now just starting to pump out. He's got his 3rd command center up though. The 3rd Nexus only just started now for IMYongHwa, so Polt can really take his 3rd whenever he wants. But there's a probe there checking. Upgrade wise, 2/2 about to finish for IMYongHwa, and of course 2/2 only a quarter done for Polt at the moment. And big downside for Polt is those 3 Colossi. Once, well, a 4th one is supply blocked at the moment, but once that 4th one does come out, that's suddenly going to cause big problems, because 4 is a real money number when they start reaching their critical mass, where they just become insane. 3/3 upgrades already started now for IMYongHwa. He's getting out that Zealot speed and charge. We do have for Polt a good spread out of units, just trying to get a defensive position while he does float down this 3rd. Came over to check here for any pylons or anything like that, and that actually looks like Polt is going to try and bring a bit of pain. He's got those 2/2 upgrades coming. He's got the +1 ship weapons to make the Vikings even more effective, but there's just the Colossi numbers are gradually creeping up. The 4th Colossi should be out before this push hits. That's going to help tremendously as well. Obviously the upgrade advantage is there for IMYongHwa at the moment, 2/2 against 1/1, but that's only going to last for about another, well, not too long. Basically, now we do have a big engagement coming in, and for the moment, Polt looks like he's taking really big damage, but he's kiting those Colossi so well. The Vikings are absolutely shredding them to go down. A 3rd one, if that does go down, that's going to be absolutely big problems. The Vikings are taken down though before they can clean it up, and a 2nd Colossi comes in, which means Polt is not going to be able to engage quite yet. Needs to be very careful how he goes about this. Colossi can absolutely shred a ball of infantry units so quickly. DTs are trying to come in again, so this is good harassment out of IMYongHwa, but the missile try preemptively there for Polt, and suddenly IMYongHwa is on the offensive. And to be honest, the defender's advantage for Polt is going to be quite significant. He's got good production coming in. He's just got 2 more reactors added on, and he's just going to be pumping units after units. The only thing is, he is still only getting 2 Vikings at a time, lost all of his Vikings in that last engagement, so the Colossi again becoming a big threat. Chrono boost coming out on these 3/3 upgrades, which are nearly done, and I mean 2/2's only just finished for Polt. He hasn't even started 3/3 yet, and it's about to finish for IMYongHwa. That's going to be tremendously helpful right now. And obviously both these players want to advance into IPL5. It's a massive tournament. They don't want to get knocked out, and of course it's highly competitive. This is only game 1. The psychological advantage going into game 2 is huge. And well, 3/3 any second now. This is why this push is waiting, because essentially in 1 second it's going to be done, and that is when this push will get enforced, because the upgrade advantage will be there for IMYongHwa. He's got that Warp Prism reinforcing, but these Vikings have to be very careful. 2 more are in production. A lot of Marauders are out actually. I mean, the Marauder number is very high. 36 Marauders, 32 Marauders to 20 Marines rather. That's very different to a normal composition. You tend to see of a lot more Marines, but that's ultimately just because he needs to deal with these Colossi, needs to get good engagements. A great play here by Polt. Spread out your units. preemptively, so that minimizes the damage the Colossi will do and also maximizes the damage you can do, but doesn't want to go into this choke. That would be a big problem with the units. Naturally want to track that way. 2 more Vikings added on here. That's 6 Vikings against 3 Colossus. Isn't too bad. It should engage quite well, but again, just has to be so careful. Both these players, kind of a bit of a game of cat and mouse. You don't want to go too far forward and walk into that splash damage, but likewise, IMYongHwa doesn't want to push up this ramp too aggressively because of the better arc of Polt. And of course, Polt, he's nearly maxed out now. He's got 2 more Vikings coming in, and what IMYongHwa is essentially trying to do is just poke these Colossi up, get a couple of free hits, waste the medevac energy, pick up any units he can while not taking too much himself. And he has got a good position here. He's going for it, but Polt coming in with the surround. The SCVs have been pulled as well, and this is all going to come down to this battle. For the moment, IMYongHwa is going okay, but 1 Colossi goes down. The second Colossi is getting very quickly low on health, and there's 2 down, but of course the infantry ball is getting exceptionally low as well for Polt. He's down to half the supply of IMYongHwa, but that last Colossi is the last thing standing. Viking numbers getting very low. They have been taken out, and there's a GG from Polt, and IMYongHwa takes game 1. So subscribe, that'd be awesome. Thumbs up, that'd be super cool. And check out game 2. There's a link to my channel on the right, obviously at the top as well, so all that sort of stuff. See you in a second.